Hi there everybody, my name is Verity. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. You can find me at www.inkybutterfly.wordpress.com, and I'm here today to share with you a card I've made. So this is my first ever video, so I hope you enjoy it, keeping it simple. So this is my card prototype that I made actually as an entry for the Global Design Project Challenge. It was a colour challenge, and that was to use Old Olive, Basic Black and Gold in however you wanted. It didn't have to be Christmas at all, but that was the challenge, and this is what I came up with. Very simple layout, using these wonderful foiled snowflakes, so reflective, they're really nice, and then some gold heat embossing as well. So I've then gone on to create another card using these sort of same layers and the same colourway, but instead I've actually used this wonderful designer series paper that is available at the moment in the autumn winter catalogue. This paper is called Merry Little Christmas and has Old Olive, Basic Black and Whisper White colours in it. Okay, so that's that, and this beautiful, I don't know whether that ribbon shimmers, black shimmer ribbon, really, really beautiful. Okay, so what I'm actually going to show you is this card sort of turned inside out, if you like. So this is a green base and a black paper, but the card I'm going to make is going to be on a black base with sort of green paper, and turn it inside out sort of thing. Okay, and invert the colours. Right, so that's that. Let's get started. Okay, move those to one side. Okay, so I've already cut stuff because I didn't really want to waste time cutting things for you on the screen. Okay, so my card bases always start life as an A4 piece of paper, which I cut lengthways at 4 1/8, and then I score it at 5 7/8 of an inch. Typically I make my layers 4 by 5 3/4, so that's that layer that goes on top of there, and then these two are 1 inch shorter and narrower than these layers. Okay, so this one is 3 1/8 by 4 7/8. Yes, I have written it down because I knew I'd forget if I didn't. And then this one will be 3 by 4 3/4. Okay, so that's that. So we've also got one of the foiled snowflakes, so again going with the gold. They do come in silver as well. The pack is of 24 and you get 12 of each, so that's going to be used as well. We are going to need a scrap of black cardstock as well, so that we can stamp our greeting and then die cut it. So we'll just grab a scrap there. Okay, and we will be die cutting that with a excuse me, stitch circle framelit. Okay, these are absolutely fabulous. So the stitch framelits actually come circles, squares and ovals, and there's 4 of each. We're going to use the what's that, second smallest. Okay, right, so let's get the greeting stamped and embossed then, to start off with. Okay, so I've already sort of got my paraphernalia ready for that. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is use this thing. This is an anti-static bag. This stops any sort of stray powder sticking where you don't want it to, and it looks sort of horrendous on black card, but it does wipe away. Just leaves a bit of a white residue. Then that takes away all the greasy marks off your fingers, which can actually the powder can stick to those marks. The stamp, the greeting, is actually from a stamp set called Hearts Come Home. So this is a lovely stamp set. So you've got all these wonderful little houses and Santa on his sleigh and stuff, but obviously we're just using the greeting for today. So that's the set we're using today. I've already prepped it on my block, so I generally put my block down and then line it up using my grid paper, just to try and make sure it's straight. Not that it matters too much today because we're going to be die cutting it into a circle, so it's not like the end of the world if it's a bit wonky. Okay, so Versamark ink is a clear sticky ink, specifically for heat embossing or leaving what they call a watermark impression, so you may be able to see that. So some light tapping on that ink pad and just make sure there's a good coating of ink on there, and then we'll just stamp that down. Just press evenly, don't rock it, and lift. Okay, and we'll just leave that to one side. Okay, so that's now there, and you can see that there. Just leaves that, you know, you can see it's there, but there's no colour to it at all. Let's put that away before it gets all gungy. And then I use one of these little sort of tidy trays, and I just tip that powder over the top, coat it over, and tap off the excess. Okay, let's move that to one side for the moment. Now I'm just going to run my heat gun now, so it's quite noisy, so I'm just going to point it downwards for the moment and just let it warm up for a second before I bring it up and apply it to the card. Okay, and then we'll use the flamer to die cut that. Okay, alright, so hopefully this is good and hot. So I'm just going to apply some heat to that. There we go. Okay, so that was probably horrendously loud, sorry about that if I've deafened you. So with heat embossing, you don't want to over heat the powder, otherwise it goes dull, but that's all nice and shiny now. That's beautiful, and it does raise slightly. Okay, it does make your card a bit wibbly, but as we're die cutting it and sitting it down, it's not going to make too much of a difference. The residue you can just wipe away with a cloth or some kind of towel. So that's that done. It's just a bit on my mat there, so I'll just get rid of that as well. Okay, so my die cut machine is off to one side. I'm just going to slip that out of the way as well. This stitch framelit is just going to be turned over, placed over the top, and make it so it's nice and lined up. There we are. I'm just going to tape that into place. This is low tack tape, and even though it's low tack tape, I do sort of take some tack off it, or some on the back of your hand or something, can tear it off, and then it just detacks it a bit. So now that's in position, I'm just going to die cut that off to one side. Just one moment. It's a bit cumbersome to bring a die cut machine in front of the camera, so we'll just do that quickly off to one side. So you might hear some rolling, and didn't crack too much that time. So okay, so now that you can tell it's cut because you can see the impression all the way through there. Okay, so let's just pop that out. We don't need that anymore. Carefully remove your tape, and that should pop out, and that gives you a beautiful die cut circle there. And I think you can just about make out those stitched marks all around the edge, which are absolutely beautiful. Okay, there we go. Let's put that somewhere safe. So I keep my dies on a magnetic sheet so that they aren't going to go anywhere. So I know that they're safe and secure. So we'll just leave those to one side as well. Okay then, right. Let's start putting some stuff together. Okay, so we've got those two elements, and we've got these Okay, I'm going to be using Fast Fuse adhesive, quite possibly the best adhesive tape runner you will ever buy. It's fantastic stuff, you just got to know how to use it. Just quickly explain that in a minute. Right, so card base then. So I'm just going to unfold that. I like to have it flat so I can line it up nicely. Okay, I'll get glue on it though. So you can see that's obviously the card I originally showed you. That's the back, and then I'm just turning it over, and we're going to use this side. Okay, so just a little bit of adhesive, not too much pressure. Flick it off at the end. Perfecto. Same again at the other. Little bit on the sides there. Okay, it doesn't matter which way up it goes. This isn't a directional paper. Obviously, if you had trees on it or something, you'd have to make sure it was the right way up. And we're just going to lie that down, getting a nice even border at this end, and then the rest should take care of itself. Terrific. Beautiful. That's that. Do the same with this one. Little flicks, breaks the tape off and make sure it, otherwise it can, people find it goes a bit sort of stringy and goes like sort of mozzarella on a pizza, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming, and people don't know what to do with it. But that little flick at the end just breaks those, breaks the tape for a nice clean. So there we go. We've already got the makings of what's going to be our card. Now this panel is actually going to be raised up with dimensionals. So this is our dimensional adhesive. Again, absolutely fabulous things. They're really quite strong, so you don't need loads at all, just enough to support it so you don't get sort of a saggy middle. Okay, just put one in the middle there. That will be quite sufficient. The backs are really easy to get off. So, I mean, some 3D foam pads that I've used in the past, you can spend forever just trying to get the backs off. Okay, so now that they're off, you're going to, as best you can, get that sort of in the middle and straight. And hopefully my head didn't get in the way of that then. And down that goes. Okay, so it just gives it an extra sort of level of dimension, if you like, instead of it just being flat. Okay, that's that. Right, so our circle again can have some fuse on it, just a couple of little bits like that. Now your snowflake isn't, you've sort of got sort of a large point and a sort of small point, and I actually quite like it so that it's sitting with the small point uppermost, so it's almost sort of a bit sort of more square rather than put, but it's entirely up to you, it doesn't matter what you do, but I'm going to position it in like that. Okay, so therefore I'm just going to position that in the centre, and you can use sort of these cutaways to sort of gauge that you're roughly in the middle anyway. Okay, that looks fab. Okay, and we're going to pop that up as well. We're just going to grab I think, so as long as they're on the black bit, nothing will show through, so that's great. So again, just whip those off, really easy, really easy. And there you go. I'm just going to position that sort of above centre, like so. Give that a press in the middle. Okay, well, it's roughly in the middle anyway. And then we need to add our bow. That's the last thing to add. So on the original card we had the black shimmer ribbon. This is actually pear pizzazz, but you can see that it's not far off the right colour for that, and I'm sure anyone not in the know isn't going to notice a subtle change. So to make my bows, it's the bunny ear method. wrap those round and pull it tight, and fiddle as you see fit. Just snip that off like so, and we can attach that with a glue dot. So, and a paper piercer, so it's going to take one, it's a little teeny tiny little sticky glue dot, so I'm just going to stick that right there, stick the bow on top, just like that, and that is that. That is the card complete. Okay, so there you are. Here's that one, and here's the original. Okay, I really hope that you've enjoyed that. It was simple. Didn't want anything too complicated for my first time out there. Okay, obviously if you enjoyed this, please click like, subscribe, leave me a comment if you really want to, and I'll be back again soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.